Hi guys, my name is Sam Pierce and this is One Simple Man. Thank you for watching this week's video. It is the week of Valentine's Day. It's coming up pretty soon. There's been a lot of, even the TV commercials are kind of getting into it. Everyone's talking about love, everyone's thinking about love. So this week, we're going to talk about faith, just because. We hear the word faith tossed around a lot. And a lot of times we don't really maybe think about what we mean by it. We'll say, it's easy to say that we have faith in something, but it's not quite so easy to live that out. We're going to start off in Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. Now, that is how important and how powerful faith can be. Our first step on our journey as Christians, and the most important decision we'll ever make in our life, is made by faith. We show that we tell God that we believe and have our trust and our faith that He can save us from our sins and that He wants to, and that He came as Jesus to die for our sins. We're putting our faith in that, which means that we believe that that is true. And we start our whole journey through faith. I also want to go to 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith and not by sight. Past that first initial point, we're to live our lives through faith too. Not just looking around at what we see and reacting to things as they happen. We put our faith in God, that the things that He tells us to do and the situations that He put us in, that is where we're supposed to be. And we live our lives that way. We're not always looking, the saying is, if you want God to laugh, tell Him your plans. We're not always planning out, I want to do this tomorrow, and then this is where I'm going to be next week, and 10 years from now I'm going to have this house and be married to this person. We kind of turn that over to God, and we have faith that His plan is a whole lot better than ours, and it is so much better. We human beings are awful at planning things. That has nothing to do with faith, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. 1 Corinthians 2:5 kind of goes along with that. It says that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Now, we spend a lot of our lives, actually our whole lives, if you do it right, learning and trying to take in information and understand the world around us. And not that that's not a great thing, but we have to understand that we are deeply flawed creatures. We are broken at our very best, and we don't always have the facilities to take in information and get the right meaning from that information. If my laptop is messed up, which the one I had was for quite a while, it wasn't able to process information. I could put every CD, every flash drive, anything I wanted to into it, and it wouldn't be able to read that information because the computer itself was corrupted, was messed up. And that's the way that we are. We can take in all the information we want to. We're not always going to get the right meaning out of it. So we have to have faith and trust in God, because He has that perspective. We don't. He created everything. He can see everything all at once. We can't do that. He knows how this is supposed to fit over there. He knows, why you got evicted. He knows why this person's come into your life. All these different things. He understands why it's in there. And we have to have faith that He's going to use that perspective in the best possible way, and that it's going to work out to our benefit, which the Bible does tell us. I'm going to go to Romans 12:3. Now, this is the good stuff. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. And that goes right along with what we were talking about. We don't need to be so puffed up in our opinion of ourselves and what we know, and to the point that we ignore God. And it says something very interesting there. It says, the measure of faith that God has given to every man. A lot of people, and I used to be like this, will hear this and think it's easy to say that, it's a great concept to have faith, but I just don't feel like I have it. I don't have enough to trust Him with that. Now, what it says is, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. A good way to look at this, I watch a lot of documentaries. I was watching a documentary a few weeks ago about this particular style of Viking sword. Well, it wasn't the style of the sword, it was the way the metal was made. That, we found several examples of them, but they're all kind of, rusted and corroded. It's been so long that they're falling apart. But the style, the way the metal is made, is a technology that's been lost to us, and it's been lost for hundreds of years. This documentary I was watching was following this metalsmith who was trying to recreate the process that they used to make these swords, and I am going somewhere with this. What you start with, and the very important thing with this, is the ingot. Now, those of you might not know, an ingot is metal ore and usually a little bit of coal or charcoal. It ends up in a metal block about the size of my phone, but a little thicker. Now, that ingot they're all about the same size. They would all look roughly the same if we had 30 or 40 of them. And from that ingot, the metal worker or the blacksmith, whoever, can make so many things. This person was making a sword, but it could easily have been made into a shield, a helmet, any kind of metal piece of equipment. And that's how faith is. We've all been given that ingot, that basic square block, and it's up to us to do with it what we will. If we sit there and we let it sit there and never use it, let it collect dust, of course we're not going to be able to do anything with it. It's a paperweight. But if you put it through the process they do, and here's the interesting thing about the way the sword was made, or most metal when you work with it from the ingot form, it has to be heated, it has to go through stress, and if it was live pain, this burning, and then it's beaten out into the shape that you need it to. It is constantly subjected to abuse and molding and shaping, and it's not just so you can wail on a piece of metal. It's so it's shaped and formed to the way that it needs to be used, and that's the way our faith should be. You try to use it. You believe for something, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you learn something, and your faith changes a little bit, and it becomes this thing. It becomes a Swiss Army knife, where any situation you're in, you know that God can get you through that situation. You've seen it happen with other people. You've seen Him work in other situations before. Maybe it's a completely different situation, but you know that God has got you. And that's how we should be with our faith. And what that will do is in 1 John 5 through 6. Who is he that overcometh the world, but he that believeth that Jesus is the Son of God? This is he that came by water and blood, even Jesus Christ, not by water only, but by water and blood. And it is the Spirit that beareth witness, because the Spirit is truth. Now, it's saying that through faith, through believing that Jesus is the Son of God, which we talked about, that is our basic step into Christianity. That is our first step, and we have that. And we show that faith, and we have that ingot that we're working on, that whosoever is born of God overcometh the world. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to go and recreate the Crusades, try to take over the world by force. What that means, and actually the word for world here, the original Greek is cosmos, which means world system. And my Bible has a note on it, on that word, around Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to read that. In the sense of the present world system, the ethically bad sense of the word refers to the order or arrangement under which Satan has organized the world of unbelieving mankind upon his cosmic principles of force, greed, selfishness, ambition, and pleasure. This world system is imposing and powerful with armies and fleets, is often outwardly religious, scientific, cultured, and elegant, but seething with national and commercial rivalries and ambitions, it is upheld in any real crisis only by armed force, and is dominated by satanic principles. That sounds very familiar. So, what we're talking about is not actually the world as in the people. It means the world as in the system which is set up. And I think we can agree that the system is not great. It's awful. But it serves the purpose that it's been shaped to. That, as it says in here, it's been shaped into a way that serves Satan's best interest. It creates confusion, chaos, despair, hopelessness, poverty. But through our faith in God, through Jesus Christ, we can overcome that. We can be the ones to change the way the world thinks, the way that the world reacts to things, by introducing them to this faith, which has been given to them but has been left unused their entire lives. But we can show them that when you have faith in God, when you trust Him and you walk by faith, not by what you think you know, because we don't know anything, then it brings you out of that hopelessness and that despair, and that we can be the ones to do that, to go out and, like we talked about last week, bring in those broken vessels and that offering. And this, we can't do it all at once, but every little thing that we do each day in our lives, if we're doing it the way we should, the way we treat people, the little things that we might do, like paying for someone's groceries, helping someone carry something, things like that, the small little things that show God's love, those are how we're going to turn this thing around. So be looking for opportunities to do that in your life. Everywhere, at work, at school, wherever you may be looking for opportunities to show His love. Now, I don't have a media recommendation this week. I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I couldn't come up with one. So here's what we're going to do. When you guys watch this, whether it's on Facebook, whether you see it through Facebook or through YouTube, wherever, comment and give your suggestions. It could be music, could be books, movies, anything like that that you feel like should be highlighted and people should know more about so they can enjoy it too. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you guys next time. This is Sam Pierce. I'm One Simple Man serving an awesome God. Thanks, guys.